Did you win a Guinness World Record for this or something?
You know what? No one's ever mentioned that, but maybe I will check into it.
I feel like we need to email the Guinness World Record books right now just to check that, because I think that must be a world record.
It was definitely a long time.
Yeah, I don't think you get many artists doing that. Welcome to Josh Smith's Great Chat Show. If you're new here, make sure you like, subscribe, or follow so you never miss a chat. And today I'm joined by my OG idol, Delta Goodrem. My teenage dreams are coming true because I played her Innocent Eyes album on repeat. I mean, that album gave us Born to Try, Lost Without You, so many hits. So of course today we take a trip down memory lane. She's now also representing Australia in Eurovision, so we talk a lot about that. But the major takeaway from this episode is about her power and determination to overcome the obstacles and hurdles that have been put in her way. From getting diagnosed with cancer as a teenager to losing her voice 2 years ago, and also dealing with sexism. So I really hope you enjoy this chat as much as I do. Delta, babes.
Josh Smith, my darling.
Oh my God. This is such a big moment for teenage me. I cannot even tell you, because I saw this thing once that gay teens get given a pop star that they will stand for the rest of their lives because they're there for them at a really seminal moment in their lives. And babe, you are that pop star for me.
You make me cry saying that.
No,
it's beautiful.
There's also
Thank
this
you.
really weird memory that I had that I completely blocked out my whole psyche until today. And I was thinking about when I brought the Innocent Eyes album, but I initially brought the Born to Try single.
Yes. Yep.
Day one, girls. Day one. And I remember going to buy that with two of my best friends from home, and we were dropped off in the local town, went to go buy it. And then I came across a school bully who was
school bully.
Yeah, he was horrible to me on that day. And I remember coming home and playing that CD. And honestly, today I was like, oh my God, it made me really emotional because I was thinking how wild it is that I was that bullied boy and now I'm here sitting with you.
Do you know what's
today.
Funny, Josh, is that it's so true to what makes me what makes my heart sort of feel that even at a different level of going into your story is that my ethos and when I was at school, I would not let anybody bully anyone else. I've always been a bit of the defender of everybody should feel loved and looked after and have a safe space and it's so beautiful to hear that, that the music had that energy in it, because even as a teenager, I felt like I was a very strong-minded kid. And I always at all times, I never had a group of, I wasn't part of the cool kids or any sort of group kids. I was just always very my own independent sort of thought. I wasn't swayed easily by any group of people, and it makes me really happy because when I think of school, I think about a scenario that was with another kid, and it makes me think why I loved music and why I got into music.
What was that scenario?
Oh, I just remember a kid had been, there was a kid that had got locked into a computer room or something, and they were kicking, and I went over and went nuclear. I grabbed everyone by the collars and was like, and when I got him out,
I love this.
Get out.
Yeah.
Just sort of, I remember that. I have a few. I mean, I was still playful, but I would never let anybody be.
And oh my God, that is so your spirit, because you were there for me in that moment too.
Yeah. No,
so
well, hopefully
strange.
the music feels that,
No, it did. It definitely did. Wow. When I was thinking about that moment today, it just really hit home how, if anyone was listening to this and you're struggling with bullies right now, babe, you will not even remember their names, because I was like, what was even his
100%.
name? I was like, who was he? And now I'm like, and babe, look what I'm doing in my life.
I mean, look at all you've accomplished. Look at all you're doing. Life is also setting you up to be able to have your greatness, Josh. Life is giving you those so that you understand what that feels like, so you can be a source of light and love for people, because you also know that how that feels. So I think that life does also give you these challenges. And I know I've been given my fair share of challenges so that I have a different perspective, and you can use that perspective how you would like to use that.
It's so true. And speaking of greatness, we always kick off on the show because it is the Great Chat Show, babe.
Yes, exactly.
By asking, what's the greatest chat you've had that's had the biggest impact on you?
It's hard because I do feel I've had some really wonderful mentors in my life. I do feel that at a young age, I mean, I was signed to Sony by the time I was, 14, 15 years old. I also had just really wonderful guidance, even if I didn't always get it right. I'm not saying I definitely didn't, but I do remember I've had a lot of really strong, profound. I like to get deep. I'm very Scorpio. I like to get to the understanding of why something happens or why it is the way it is. So I'm extremely curious, and I have been since for as long as I know. I've always been I want to understand, or someone who likes to. If I've heard something, I like to process and let it go, and then move forward or feel it all. So I don't have like a thought on who number one, but I do get a couple of people that come to mind. I think of a gentleman called David Massey, who was a great musical man in the industry, or my mum when I was young giving me strong advice. Of course, I've had the honour of having some incredible iconic artists guide me in the moments I might have needed them to sort of guide me and share their wisdom. So I apologise, I don't have like one specific one.
But that's good because you're always having the chats, babe.
I'm always having the chats. I'm always
diving
You're
always
in.
The DMCs are always open with you.
Yeah.
Is there an iconic artist who found you at the right time and gave you an amazing piece of advice that sticks with you?
Yes, there's a couple actually. I'll go, of course, with my journey with Olivia Newton-John. When I was diagnosed with cancer, many people reached out, and it was incredibly overwhelming to take in all the information that was happening. My house looked like a florist, and every person I'd ever crossed paths with had sent something or knocked on the door. Like our house was a train station at that time. But when I think of Olivia in that time and her sending me her sort of notes going, you'll understand this is a gift in time and that you'll be able to help people, and she has always kind of been that person that when I needed to speak about if I didn't understand why something was happening or how do I find my way through this, she was definitely the person that I would call upon.
And even now she's gone, that legacy still lives on, doesn't it? Through that amazing advice that she gave you in that really tough time.
It does. I mean, her impact happened before we even knew each other. Was when I was 7 years old and I ran into her in New York. And I'd just gone to Phantom of the Opera. My mum had taken me to the show. It was my first sort of, oh my gosh, what is this? This is amazing. And then we went back to the hotel and went to get a hot chocolate, and Olivia Newton-John walked in, and I was like, oh my God, it's Sandy. And Olivia heard my Australian accent and came over and said, oh, you must be Australian, and where are you from? And she talked to us at the table, and I was just like blown away. And again, I was 7 years old. I can still remember I had white glasses with stars around them.
Oh my God, obsessed.
And then
were they even prescription or just
yes,
accessories?
Yes, they were prescription.
Okay. Just checking, babe.
I probably should wear them each day, but I'm sort of I accept my klutzness. I accept it.
Where am I?
Yeah. But then the next day I was looking for her everywhere. And Mum and Dad then let me know, look, we're not going to see Olivia Newton-John on the streets of New York today, Delta. I was like, I will see her in my future, Mum and Dad. But my point was, even that knock on, every time when I'm at home, like specifically in Australia, and I see little kids start mentioning my name and I can hear them talking, I always think of Olivia when I walk up to the table and say hi. And I always think that she's always, those imprints or what I know was special to me as a 7-year-old, I've not forgotten it at this age.
That's
at 25,
so
25.
So, we're still in our mid-20s, girls, and we are looking stunning for it. Aren't we?
Aren't we?
Yeah, the best. Millennial girlies clinging on. So many people have literally grown up with you because I remember first coming across you through Neighbours because obviously Neighbours was so huge in the UK at that time. How the F did that ever happen? How did you end up on Neighbours, babe? Let's take it back to that journey.
Well, firstly, I also feel the same way that people have grown. I feel I grew up in front of everybody too. I know no other life but growing up in front of everybody.
Because you've had longer in your career than you have without
it.
Yeah. When you think that you literally signed at 15.
Yes. And my first TV shows was when I was about 7 years old on the comedies and the dramas. But how I got into Neighbours was that the shows I was on as a 7-year-old, a country practice, the gentleman who actually cast me on a country practice, he didn't realise, but he then cast me in Neighbours. Peter Dodds, his name was. And basically there was an article written in the paper that had shown like Delta from Hey Dad and A Country Practice and these shows has now signed to it now wants to be a pop star, said something like that, and has signed to this management, Glenn Wheatley and Sony Music. And then Neighbours and Peter Dodds, they basically called up my manager, who was John Farnham's manager as well, and they called him up and said, we're thinking of having a musician on Neighbours. And so I went in for my audition, but I actually thought I had already got it. I didn't know I was, because I actually
like,
went in.
I'm here. I'm ready. Get the piano tunes. She's coming.
Because it had come through my manager and I thought they'd called,
yeah,
asked.
you're like,
and I walked in
do you want me or not?
Hey guys,
Yeah.
so excited. I was like, hi everyone. And I walked in, just sort of, let's do this, and did the audition. And my manager called and said, congratulations. They've said yes to you on Neighbours. I was like, oh, I thought I already had the role. They were like, no. It's like, well, that's lucky, isn't it?
But also, you probably would have been so nervous if you knew it was an audition.
Yeah, I have no idea. Look, from that moment on, after that though, and I think you'd appreciate this, because basically step 1 second back to before that moment, I'd had a single out called I Don't Care, which couldn't be further from my ethos. I really care.
Yeah, you really do
I
give
care
a
too
shit,
much.
babe.
It's taken me a long time to even just calm my amount of care in life. So I've
It's that
had to
15-year-old angst.
Yes.
You're like, I don't care. I really don't care, guys.
Totally.
But actually, I really
I
do.
really care. But then basically I had done an in-store and we'd released this song. I'd rewritten the video. I'd basically learned, at 15, I was like, they'd given me this director that he just wasn't very nice. And I had a wonderful, again, this is where I think of mentors, a wonderful product manager called Pete Centris, who I still love to pieces, him and his family. And I was like, I don't really like that guy, Pete. Like he wasn't very friendly. He's like, he's doing all the big videos and it's all a big deal. I was like, nah, yeah. Doesn't matter. I didn't like his energy. And again, this is at 15, right? And Pete's like, oh, Delta. And again, but I remember having that banter young with some of the people that I'd been my angels that had sort of protected me, I think. And then I said, oh, I'll rewrite the video. And he's like, okay. So I went home, I rewrote the music video for my first single, I Don't Care. Then I started calling extras agencies, like how much will it cost? And I wrote down every name at school who I thought would be able to be one of the extras because I had this Romeo and Juliet storyline and, this whole thing. Found a beautiful director who then was willing to listen to my 15, 16-year-old self. I came with a booklet, I'd printed it all off. And
before the PowerPoint presentation, babe, it was a full scrapbook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I came with a scrapbook with, what it was. And again, luckily, when you have somebody who listens to the sort of idea, he said, of course, I'll make it. And we sort of did a version of it. He ended up subsequently doing another number one song for me, video, Wings, with me later in life. But anyway, he was a part of my journey. But when we were doing the in-store promo in-stores, there was another gentleman called Selwyn who had this big song from being on Pop Stars. And I hadn't, had anything else except for this song coming out, except for the TV as a kid. And no one was asking for my signature. So I was sitting there.
You sat there.
I sat
and
there.
And you really did care.
And I sat there and it was a packed shopping centre. We'd done our performance and everyone kept going to this young artist called Selwyn who had this hit. And I was just sitting there and he's like, get my girl to signature. I'm like, it's okay. It's totally fine. That's fine. No one wants the song. I went off and I had a bit of a tear. But I was like, I'm fine. It's fine. And the gentleman, Audius, who was his co-writer, was there going, well, don't you play piano and stuff? And I was like, I do, but, no one at the label yet wanted to, there hadn't been Alicia Keys yet. It was just a bit more pop just before that moment to allow that gate to open. And then Audius was who I wrote Born to Try with.
Oh
so
my
he
God,
ended up
from that shopping centre.
From the shopping centre
to
moment.
that international massive hit.
So he came round to our house, to my family house, because obviously I lived at home. We'd sort of go, do you want to go play basketball and then come in and write a song? We wrote 3 songs. And he said to me, do you want to write one more song or do you want to, just go and play some more basketball or go for a swim or something? And I said, no, okay, let's write one more song. He sat at the piano and I said, I love that song, Kissing You, in Romeo and Juliet. And I said, I want something where I can sing. And I swear to you, he played the chord and that dun, dun, dun was sort of the feeling from that song, Kissing You from Desiree. And I sang Born to Try from top to finish. We recorded it and I said, And I remember being there, I was like doing everything that I believe in, going by the rules that I've been taught. And then I remember going, but I was born to try. And me stopping and going, born to try, is that okay? And he was like, yeah, it's nice. And then I just sort of finished it. And it was done in 20 minutes. And that was how Born to Try was written.
And you went to Neighbours and you were like, let's pop this in the show, guys.
So then basically when they called and then when they, after the sort of audition process, they said, we want to get her in early. I'd been flown over to New York with Tommy Mottola to sort of go, this is, a priority. This is what's happening. I came back. They sent me the script to get me in earlier. And it was the bad girl. That was this girl called Tani. Mm-hmm. And I started crying. I basically got the script and just burst into tears. And I was inconsolable. And my mum and dad were like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was like, this is not right. I can't, that's not, that people will think this is me in the soap. And my music is my heart. And they were like terrified. And I basically then just called up and said, I don't think this is using Born to Try in the best way it should be.
It's not.
And then they said, all right, what have you got in mind, kid? I said, let's think about this. And then we wrote Nina into the storyline. So at the start, you just see me doing 2 words like, hi, gotta go, because I had been written in amongst this other character.
Oh my God, this is so crazy because this shows that you really knew your voice from the beginning.
Yeah, doesn't mean I didn't lose it at some points. But yes, I did.
When do you feel like you lost your voice and your ability to stand up for yourself?
I think just after I had been sick. I think just after going through cancer was an extremely hard, confusing time. I think when the entire world sort of, puts the microscope on your family and you just after going through record-breaking album at the same time as cancer, it's like a bomb going off. So you have to put a lot of the pieces together, within house, outside a house. And I think that was a really intense chapter where I just sort of had a very intense 18, 19-year-old. My strong voice had been put into a life or death situation and then had to find my way out of it. And when you're on the other side, then everything doesn't look the same and I don't look the same. I'm not the long-haired piano playing sort of girl anymore. I'm not Innocent Eyes. I was had seen a totally different part of the world. And then I think I just got a little bit lost after that on the second album. So sometimes I find even the second album, I found it very healing. We got to do the MI anniversary shows. But I think that was quite a, I don't really enjoy that chapter when I think of it.
Because it's so hard to think of a chapter that you really struggled through, right? Like that's the thing about when I've talked to cancer survivors before, it's so difficult to talk about it because you kind of want to forget about it, but then you want to use it to push you forward as well, right?
And truthfully, it is still a part of my every week because the amount of people who are going through something and the amount of people that reach out. Now, I talk to a lot of people or get asked, could you call my friend? My friend's got diagnosed. Could you call? And you do as much as you possibly can. There was a young man recently who I had known coming to the shows a lot and been a real Team Delta, sort of friend. And this really hit me, this one of where he'd really been connected to the music. They found me on this day where it was like Delta, someone from the radio station, another radio station had said, our friend is really taken a turn. So I just grabbed the phone, said, send me the number. And I just called and, he wasn't speaking in that moment, but he was still present. And I was on the phone with the family and then I just said, just get me on FaceTime. And so I got on FaceTime and they all had these, Delta Goodrem T-shirts on and they were all sort of there with him. And I just felt like, I was like, this is this is why you get into music and why you want to be able to fit such a powerful, healing space. And I just kind of, I don't know why it was I get ones that really hit me at a soul level. And he passed away about 3 hours later. I do believe that going through cancer and those challenging chapters or losing my speech or, I do think that then some people who know me and know my spirit know that I have an understanding of something that I can talk through and there's no wall between us. My point is that whilst that chapter, and I think that second album chapter was I think I'd lost a bit of my voice. It certainly gave me my voice as well to be able to be strong and even more refined of who I am today.
And then you also then went through the tough time of losing your voice entirely, right? Like 2 years ago. And you had to relearn how to speak again.
Yeah, so dramatic, Josh, aren't I? So dramatic.
Like, that is, like, you are someone who has come through so much. And you're such, like, I met you like 2 times now. And you are such a beacon of, like, light and positivity.
That's very kind.
How have you managed to keep going?
Because my intention is the same as when I started. I have nothing behind my back. I'm like coming with my hands up. My intention is clear. I love the arts. I love storytelling. You know, my songs only want to empower the listener. I'm good with me. I'm just here to give, you know, something through song or the arts. And I think that's kind of comes from an intention. I didn't get into it for anything else.
Is there a chat you found the hardest to have but's been the most rewarding? Or a moment you're proudest of advocating for yourself?
In the voice era, there was a definite crossroads moment where I'd gotten told by a lot of the sort of, you know, team that was working with me, just accept this offer and, you know, just say yes. And I think I was on Cats at the time and I just knew, I was like, no. I was like, no. And I had a feeling what some of the other coaches were on and things. And I knew, you know, it's a total blessing. So I'm not saying that, but I did advocate for myself. And I said to everybody, I was like, no, everybody should be fair. And that was just behind closed doors. And I did advocate for myself. And I'm grateful that, again, in speaking from my truth to a wonderful, you know, group of people, that they heard me. And yeah, I did advocate strongly, and that was a really important moment.
Because equality is important, and it's so important to take those moments to also make sure people recognize that as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's so many times we think we should always just be grateful for what we've got, and actually, if you're from a minority group or if you're a woman, especially in a male-dominated industry, like, you've got to stand up and make sure people know what you want and what you deserve to have as well.
Yeah, 100%. You know, there's a balance, isn't there, in anything? Just knowing what seems like fair. Being fair is something that I think is important. You know, you want people to. You should just be fair. Just be fair on across the board. Do your best at being fair.
What advice would you want to give to someone who is out there who's going through a particularly difficult challenge now? From your experience, what would you want to say to them?
I always tell people that they should have something to look forward to. You know, remembering the simplest things are so special to get to do, because when you are in a position where, you know, going to get a coffee with your friend can sometimes be a challenge. I would say you still have to have something like, I'm looking forward to, you know, going to the local place to have a coffee with my bestie, or booking it in and actioning something to have that you know makes you happy.
And also practicing gratitude can really help if you're really struggling with some things. And I think
100%.
there are so many things for you to be grateful for, right, in life. Like,
Totally.
I mean, and one of the things that we're all grateful for as millennial girlies and gays is Innocent Eyes, babes.
Thank you
I
very
mean,
much.
that album, chef's kiss masterpiece.
It's treasured in my heart.
I need to know, when did you realize that was really
real.
Taking off, babe? That was real. That you were like, woohoo, this is something.
I have a couple of memories that come to mind on that. So in-stores are coming up for me, because basically, as I'd shared in my first in-store experience, it was quite distressful. Distressful. I was on Neighbours. We were working at the time, and I had an in-store booked, right? Because I remember I was still on Neighbours while I was doing the album, finishing the album off. It was taking off here. We were coming over for the weekends of Top of the Pops, and we were flying back. And I remember getting to High Point, the shopping centre in Melbourne, and asking the people backstage, saying, oh, did anybody come? Like, is there anybody there? And they all just kind of gave me this look like, oh yeah, there's people there. And I have this like movie scene where the 2 doors opened and I just went like, oh, whoa. Like, it was just the entire shopping centre with all these levels had basically been, there was about 10,000 people that turned up and it was just people. I signed for 14 to 18 hours. I think it was like 16. It was basically, signed every single person that came.
Sorry, you signed for 14 hours?
Yeah. I mean, some of them were longer. So back when Ines and I first started, I think I signed everybody in Australia's CD. Yeah. So.
And Australia's a very big country, guys. Like,
what? It's true. These in-stores, they're a crazy part of my journey because I was known for sort of just, I would never leave. If they're going to keep standing there for 10 hours, then I'll sit here and sign for 10 hours. And
did you win a Guinness World Record for this or something?
You know what? No one's ever mentioned that, but maybe I will check into it.
I feel like we need to email the Guinness World Record books right now just to check that, because I think that must be a world record.
It was definitely a long time.
Yeah, I don't think you get many artists doing that.
You know when we said like the caring too much, like the I don't care and the caring factor?
You've also got strong wrists, babe, to be able to do that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Christ alive.
The other one was, I think, when I first started hearing Born to Try on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was something in the air, and it was something special in the air. And I knew it was different.
How do you deal with having that huge success so young and then picking yourself up and keeping going? Like, how do you reconfigure success for you after that? I'm
really proud of how hard I've always worked. But in respect of that, having a lightning in a bottle album, so young, I look at it like that. I look at it like how incredible where culture meets a moment in time with music of something that I was experiencing that then I wrote, and all the beautiful innocence of that chapter that was really beautiful. And I look at it like that treasured bottle, that, that lightning in a bottle. It's that they're hard to come by. And I would never expect the other albums to compete in their different ways, but I would expect that I am better as an artist every time I make an album. No matter what happens outside of that is really out of my control, and it's in the cosmos.
Yeah.
But what I do know, as long as I know that I am better every day as an artist, and I am proud of that, and I think I work hard at that.
Yeah. And it's about doing it for the process, right? Not necessarily always the end result.
I don't know.
Sometimes
the process is,
I mean, babe, you sold 9 million albums. I think you're doing really damn well, babe.
Thank you.
Worldwide. Let's get real here, guys. Because also you've now taken control of your entire career, right? Because you have your own record label.
Yeah.
And that must be an amazing gift to yourself. Yeah. Especially as someone who's always had a strong voice and come through the challenges of struggling to find their voice at different times.
Yep.
Is there maybe a moment of poor leadership that inspired you to take control of your own career?
Basically, when COVID happened, I did understand that everything had changed. And much like with my journey, I really don't try to stay in one chapter. I honor the moments that have happened, but I also do move into the here and now, and that's important for me. I loved my time in major label, loved it. I also learnt a lot because I'm a studier. So I knew at this point, I think I know what to do. I think I'm going to carry my water on this one. I'm going to head out. When COVID happened, I did these things called bunker down sessions, which were live sessions out of my living room. I basically understood within the second we were in lockdown, how do I stay connected? What I don't even know how to use my phone at this point. So how do I connect my phone to, doing these live performances? And my incredible husband, who is the foundation of my world. And, him and I were learning how to set up everything just the exact same as I would working on The Voice as a coach, or understanding framing, understanding this, and understanding shows. How do I put on a show and an arc to this at Bunker Down? And learning spontaneity. And we sort of were doing these shows where it taught us how to produce. It also started to make me understand, because I was getting asked upon a lot in that chapter, like, can you host this live with, Channel 9? I was hosting things live from the living room. I was just starting to see how efficient and how much middleman was getting taken out. And then we got an office, and then we started doing all our, everything from there. Everything I was already doing, but just sort of being a lot more physically, logistically doing it. Then I hosted the ARIA Awards, which is our, music sort of awards. And
Which you've won like 600 of.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't won a Brit though, Josh.
I mean,
like,
for
there's
fuck's
a lot
sake.
of room for
There's
growth.
there's
I haven't
always
won a
room for
Eurovision
improvement.
either. I haven't won a Eurovision.
But we're working on that
We're
one, babe.
working on it. And I had hosted the awards, and there wasn't allowed to be an audience, but it was live, but some artist could come and blah, blah, blah. And I remember I went back to do the right thing and went back to my label, and there was an energy in the room, and the whole thing was just not me. I was like, this is not for me. And I remember clocking it quite strongly, and I just had a great time. I was really proud of what we had just done. And going back to this sort of, they were having a party, and I just remember being like, I really enjoy being professional. I really enjoy like getting to like work hard and do a good job. And there was a moment where I was like, this has imploded and this is not the current here and now. And I knew I was walking away in that moment.
It's so powerful to know when you've outgrown an environment though.
Yes.
And to not stay.
Yeah, it was time to go for me.
Because that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, especially when you've had that relationship for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And I knew it well. And again, I love it. I
Yeah.
don't look at it. I'm not for as long as something's wonderful and great, it's great. And if it's not now in that moment, that's okay. It doesn't have to be hateful. It doesn't have to be, I love my time for that 20 years with them. It was awesome. From leaving Sony and starting Outload Records, we've built some amazing productions and some amazing things there. But it also meant it gave me the opportunity. And I just said, I haven't been in the UK. I'd been on The Voice for 10 years. I was like, I'm just going to go over and see what's there again. Because I had been told for a long time, there's nothing there for you. There's nothing there. And that is what I'd kind of been told for a while. And when I got back here, I was like, yeah, so it gets me teary actually. Yeah, it was really nice to come back and to see people had held my music in their heart.
Well, babes, you're bringing that stunning, empowered voice to a whole new level because we're hitting Eurovision, babes, aren't we?
We're hitting Eurovision.
And now you're serving us the power ballad that everyone's needed, babes,
Look,
which is true.
Eclipse is, as you and I spoke about briefly prior to this, I thought eclipses were very rare. I keep seeing, now NASA's talking about eclipses.
You keep posting pictures of eclipses like they're happening all the time, and I'm like, I'm so intrigued because I thought they were like a phenomenon, and you're just basically making eclipses happen left, right, and centre. Now you've released this song. This is.
If I didn't see you in a T-shirt that says like,
babe, vote for Delta 25 times. How many times can you vote for Eurovision?
Look, I don't know actually. To tell you the truth, we need to Google that.
We need to find that out because everyone listening, we need you to vote
Yes.
wherever you are, especially across Europe.
You
That's
can't
key.
vote for your own, so I understand that.
Yeah. So vote for Australia.
So vote for Australia.
Which I kind of love because my friend the other day when I was like, so Delta Goodrem's doing Eurovision for Australia, and she was like, she looked at me and I was like, why are you so puzzled by this? She was like, I didn't realise that Australia was in Europe, and I was like,
That's amazing.
I was like, babe. No. So if anyone needs a history lesson, why is Australia now in Eurovision?
In Eurovision, there's a couple that aren't in Europe as well. There's
Yeah,
a couple of other
exactly.
countries. Look, we're part of the Commonwealth.
Exactly.
We also look at us like we're not. We come just over here. We want to be a part of the party.
Yeah.
We understood how awesome Eurovision was, and we said, could we please be a part
involved.
of this? Like,
Take us.
I think that should be applauded that
Yeah.
Australia recognised how epic Eurovision is and said, could we please join the party?
And you are ready to join the party.
And I am joining the party. I'm bringing this disco
Ball.
ball, and I am walking on stage. Woo!
I hope you can have more than just one disco ball, babe. I want like full on fucking wind machines.
What do you take me for around here? What do you take me for? What do you take me for, my friends out there, please?
There's going to be a wind machine, right?
Oh,
It's going to be a
on
tornado.
what planet could I go on that stage without a wind machine?
Dude.
It would be like no oxygen, like a fish,
Yeah.
like in water. Like
Yeah.
I need the wind machines.
Machines.
Your machines.
Use turbo machines. That's what we need.
Yeah, 100%.
Because what was the reason for you to taking on this challenge at this moment? Because it is a big challenge, I think, Eurovision, especially as an established artist, right?
sure,
Like
for
you're
sure.
coming to this with pedigree, babe. Like we're talking millions of albums. We're talking, you are so successful. Like putting yourself under this scrutiny and also this kind of like success and failure and this scoreboard, it must be quite daunting.
It's wild. Like, it's definitely wild.
So what made you want to take this challenge on?
I'm a little wild, I'm a little wild.
Like,
No, it just kept circling. People would say, would you do it? And every other year I'd either been on a project or touring, and also it didn't feel right in those years for me. And in this moment, I think where, it's such a blessing to be able to connect anywhere with music, with people. And the fact that that is such an incredible stage. It's so amazing what they produce up there, that I was making the new album and I'd had a meeting. They'd come in to ask me, and I sort of took it all in, and it just felt right in my heart. It has all the elements I love. It's got the drama, it's got the amazing kind of theatrics and the joy and the creativity and the individuality. There's discovery of, new music that I love. So it's got all the things I love anyway. So why wouldn't I be a part of this amazing world?
Yeah.
It's like, why would I not join this community? I'm actually turned into a total ride or die for this, because I have loved having a new playlist of songs that I've found. So I'm like, this song from
So you basically
Italy.
become a Eurovision absolute stan.
I'm a total stan.
Yeah, going around with your autograph book behind the scenes. Italy, hon. I need your signature.
I'm meeting Italy. I know this will air after, but I'm meeting Italy in Amsterdam, and frankly, I'm pretty excited to meet Sal from Italy. And like, his music was so awesome. Yeah, I've just got to do the best job I can for me. But I'm really excited.
Australia to win Eurovision 2026.
But I need your help
But
out
we
there,
need you
guys.
to vote. So everyone at home votes, because otherwise, if you don't, I'm going to be on the streets on that Sunday afterwards with my placards, my megaphone,
I may
outside
be
10
there
Downing
too.
Street, demanding recounts.
I will be with Josh demanding.
Yeah, we were just us two. On
I don't know if that's a good look for me, but
She's passionate.
Freak out.
Recount. Still waiting for that recount for Brexit, but we'll get there with this one, babe. We'll get there with this one. We're also going to pick up more about Eurovision in the group chat episode, which is coming out late this week, so stay tuned. But babes, we have really got into it today, and it's been so amazing talking to you.
So
and
amazing to talk to you.
This podcast is all about starting important chats and getting people talking more. So I want to know, what do you think we should all be talking about more?
Do I need an actual topic,
It could be like
talking about more like?
It could be like philosophical. It could be like an actual topic. It can be whatever you want it to be, babe.
Let's talk even more about the cosmos of eclipses. I think this topic is important, and I was also born on an eclipse, and I did not know. When I released the song, this astrologer came out and went. She went, did you know that actually Delta was born under... I said, Mum, you didn't know this? What is this?
I thought that was like such a big thing. Because I remember there was eclipse happening in like the UK once. We were like on Blue Peter, we were making all these like things to go see it. Like,
how do you get the glasses?
Yellow glasses. It's the perfect time for it. So basically, we all need to be talking about eclipses more.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, that's one answer. That's one answer, because it's very important.
It's one of my favorites, babe, because we've never had a science response to that question.
I do love science, so.
Oh God, babe, it's like my least fave. It's literally like the torturous experience of doing like GCSE science was just like, it still sticks me to this day.
Oh no, I only remember just doing Bunsen burners, then we had all the little experiments you could do in the class.
Oh God, those Bunsen burners were lethal.
Yeah.
Well, babe, honestly, it has been the best chatting to you today. Thank you.
It's amazing to talk
so
to you
much, babes. Thank you so much for joining me for this great chat. Make sure you check out Josh Smith's Great Chat Show across all podcast platforms and on YouTube as well.